Welcome back to the Crypto World channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, tens of millions of dollars are flowing back into Bitcoin long positions after hearing the recent news about the Federal Reserve voting to leave interest rates unchanged, at least for now. In just a moment, I'll be explaining exactly what that means for Bitcoin moving forward, alongside some other important Bitcoin charts later in this video. So definitely make sure you're watching all the way to the end so that you're not missing out on any of this important information. And just before we jump into it, make sure to leave a like down below. And if you're new to the channel, you might as well subscribe with notifications turned on for more updates just like this every single day. But with all of that out of the way, let's get straight to what this video is about. So right here on the Bitcoin US dollar chart on the 12-hour time frame, and what we have is of course that bullish divergence that we were previously looking at on the 4-hour time frame, but it is now clearly visible on the 12-hour chart as well. So generally speaking, what this means for Bitcoin is essentially in the shorter term, we are due to see reduced selling pressure, which either means more sideways price action or a slight move back to the upside. Now, bullish divergences can quite often be very accurate, but just like any pattern or any indicator, they're not guaranteed to happen, and they don't happen 100% of the time. For example, just 3 weeks ago, we formed a bullish divergence back up here. And yes, in the shorter term, we did see reduced selling pressure with a little bit more sideways price action, but we still ended up forming another move to the downside. But in most cases, this does mean that we're about to experience more sideways price action for Bitcoin, if not a move back to the upside. And if Bitcoin does end up playing out a move back to the upside, then we have this bump and run reversal pattern that will be completed with a move breaking above this line right here. And this line of resistance that we need to break above is coming in at around 52,000 approximately. And as I explained in my last Bitcoin update video, this pattern is a 3-stage reversal pattern. We've got the lead-in phase, and then we've got the bump, and then the run back to the upside after we confirm a break above this point of resistance. So as of right now, we haven't confirmed this pattern, but I'm just letting you know that it is forming and that we would be flipping very bullish again if we break above this line right here at around 52k, give or take. Not to mention that the daily RSI just last week entered into oversold territories for the first time since the crash that we saw back in May, so around half a year ago. And when that happened back there, that was an amazing buying opportunity for the longer term. In the immediate short term, yes, we still experienced a little bit more bearish price action, but generally speaking, if you're dollar cost averaging into the market at that time period just there, you did very well in the coming months. And another bullish sign that we're seeing in the daily price oscillators is looking in the daily MACD. We are right now seeing a bullish cross in the daily MACD, but technically it hasn't confirmed just yet. We need to see this daily candle close and start the next day to really confirm this bullish cross in the daily MACD. And the last 2 bullish crosses that we saw in the daily MACD when we were sitting in negative territory, so in the bottom half of this indicator, that was back at the end of September and the end of May. And once again, both of those time periods right there were amazing buying opportunities to hold for the longer term. So if you are brand new to this channel and you're wondering what my personal Bitcoin strategy is right now, as I have been saying recently on the channel, I am currently dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin with a long-term perspective, holding for the longer term. And because it's only dollar cost averaging, not going all in at any given price level, if we do end up playing out a little bit more bearish price action, that is perfectly okay, because then I can simply continue to dollar cost average into the markets with some stable coins that I have set aside that are earning interest anyway. And if you're wondering where you can earn interest on your stable coins, I do have a link to BlockFi and a link to Celsius in the description down below, which are the 2 platforms that I use to earn interest on my crypto. Now, staying on the daily charts for Bitcoin, but bringing out these 2 indicators, what we have is the VPVR indicator and the 55-week simple moving average. That's what this red line is just here. Now, why have I chosen the 55-week simple moving average? Well, 55 is a Fibonacci number, and Bitcoin usually likes to respect Fibonacci numbers. And on top of that, this exact moving average also provided the bottom that we saw back in July before a lot of bullish price action was about to happen. And right now, at the time of filming this video, this moving average is currently coming in at around 45,000 US dollars per Bitcoin. So for as long as Bitcoin is remaining above 45k, then honestly, on the larger time frames, on the bigger picture here, we're still looking all right. And I mean, you can see what happened last time we bounced along this moving average back in July. And on top of that, we've got a huge spike in volume in the VPVR indicator coming in at around the current Bitcoin prices at the time of filming this video, which is sitting in between around 47,000 and around 49,000. And right now, that is acting as support for the Bitcoin price. So essentially, we do have a lot of signs on the chart showing us that Bitcoin could very well be reaching a bottom for this correction. But it's important to mention that nothing is guaranteed in these markets. So just because we have a few of these signs showing us that we could be reaching a bottom as we are running into some major support, it is still not impossible for Bitcoin to go lower, because nothing is impossible when it comes to Bitcoin. But with that being said, there's a lot of new long positions beginning to open back up again after we saw the flash crash around 1.5 weeks ago. And by the way, this chart just here, this is the Bitcoin long position positions over on the Bitfinex exchange on the 4-hour time frame. And you can see 1.5 weeks ago when the Bitcoin price was dropping to the downside, the reason why we had such a severe flash crash in the immediate short term and why it happened so quickly is because a lot of long positions got liquidated on that crash, which added to the selling pressure at that time. But since that flash crash, so over the past 1.5 weeks, we have seen the long positions recover again. And in fact, when you're measuring this out, nearly 1,800 Bitcoin have entered into new long positions over the past 8 days. So basically, over the past 1 week, over 80 million US dollars worth of Bitcoin have entered into new long positions. And this was especially the case within the last 1 day, as you can see. And this is likely because the Federal Reserve meeting that happened yesterday is now completed, and we now know the decision that the Federal Reserve made. So straight away, just by that happening, that reduces uncertainty in the market, which is more of a bullish thing by itself. But on top of that, looking at the Fed's decision, they have voted to keep interest rates unchanged, at least as of right now. But they did announce that they will be raising interest rates next year and in 2023. But before they can start raising interest rates, they need to first wrap up their tapering. So they have decided to double the size of the taper to $30 billion per month. And what that means for the beginners out there, basically the taper that they're talking about is the opposite to quantitative easing. So it is reducing quantitative easing, which is reducing their asset purchasing. So basically what this means is the Federal Reserve is stepping off the gas a little bit in regards to stimulating the economy, because now they don't really need to, because most markets have fully recovered and gone far beyond where they were at the previous all-time highs before the crash that we saw last year in 2020. And so because they've doubled the size of the taper, that is meant to end early next year. And then after that, they can begin raising interest rates. And yes, raising interest rates can cool down the market and can be seen as a bit of a bearish signal. But as long as the markets are looking strong, and as long as they don't raise interest rates too fast, too quick, then honestly, we shouldn't see a whole lot of change in the overall financial markets, at least in the immediate short term. And so because of this, because interest rates are staying the same right now in the short term, on the release of that news, the stock market, the S&P 500 index, which is what I've got just here, did end up seeing a very nice bullish pump just yesterday. And that pump right then and there was exactly what we needed to see in order to complete this inverse head and shoulders pattern forming right now, which is technically a bullish pattern, but it only confirms after we break above the neckline, which is right now coming in at just above 4,700 on the S&P 500. So if we see the US stock markets breaking out to the upside and especially breaking into new all-time highs, that would be very bullish for Bitcoin and the overall crypto markets moving forward. And in a scenario like that, it is only a matter of time before Bitcoin recovers and heads back to its all-time high. And speaking about inverse head and shoulders patterns, we also have this potential inverse head and shoulders pattern that is right now forming on the Bitcoin US dollar charts on the 4-hour time frame. Now, I say potential inverse head and shoulders pattern because clearly we are nowhere near completing this pattern. We've already seen the left shoulder, and right now we are potentially forming the head, but we haven't seen any sort of right shoulder just yet. So as of right now, it is a bit too early to tell if this pattern will play out, but I'm just pointing it out to you now so that you can keep an eye on it if it does continue to play out. But with that being said, Bitcoin has a decent amount of resistance ahead of it. Looking in the Bitcoin order books across all of these exchanges, right now we do have a pretty significant amount of sell orders coming in close towards 50,000 US dollars. Really, the main part of these sell orders arrive at around 49,500 and they end at just above 50,000 US dollars. So if we can see a strong break above 50,000, then that would mean that all of these sell orders would have to get bought up, leaving not much resistance on the other side of 50,000 US dollars per Bitcoin. So if that happens, once we get above 50,000 approximately, that is when we could start seeing a lot more bullish price action happening. But until then, once again, we just have to focus on getting above 50,000. That is an important level to crack. And by the way, I shared part of the information included in this video hours ago over on my Twitter in the form of this real-time update and also this update right here, showing you that we do have some early signs of Bitcoin potentially bottoming out. And so if you want to stay up to date in the crypto markets at all times and get all of this extra free crypto content, definitely make sure you follow me over on my Twitter, and the link to my Twitter is in the description down below and also in the pinned comment. If you enjoyed this video or got something valuable out of it, please make sure to leave a like down below. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe with notifications turned on so that you're not missing out on any of these future updates that I post every single day. We're getting really close to 100,000 subscribers, and the goal is to try and get there by the end of this year. And if all of you continue to show your support by subscribing to the channel, sharing these videos around, or simply just by watching these videos, all of that helps out the channel. And honestly, I really do appreciate every single one of you. But that is it for this update. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next video.